All right, everyone, welcome back into another NFL DFS video. Going to be touching on the top plays for this Saturday 3-game slate. So just going to go position by position. I feel like this is a pretty good slate that we have, especially with some of the pricing that we are getting. Let's go ahead and start out with the quarterback. So, looking at Jared Goff, to me, he's kind of the biggest question mark on this whole slate. He has looked bad, really, over the past month now. And really, the biggest difference is that teams have been able to get home on him a little bit more, kind of get him a little skittish. He is a very good quarterback when he can set his feet, find the open read, and he can deliver the football when he's able to do that. It's when you get a little bit of pressure on him that he starts to have some flaws, starts to make some bad throws. And we have seen that be exploited over the last month or so. Now, all in all, I don't know if Denver's defense is going to be able to kind of present that pressure on him, but I do think that he's going to be a little bit too high priced. I think I would rather get to Russell Wilson, who feels like a safe play. I think what he has done this season, averaging 18 fantasy points, is probably what we're going to get out of him. I don't know if we need to go there. We got Jake Browning in kind of a good spot. I mean, he has played very well. And if you're watching it, it doesn't feel fluky. It feels very true, if you will. Now, sure, 2 rushing touchdowns. We can't really bank on that. But the rushing upside is there from him. He is a quarterback that can rush the football. And all in all, I'm not saying he's Joe Burrow, but this offense has kind of functioned very similarly as to how it would if Joe Burrow was there. The only exception is that Joe Mixon has been a little bit more involved. On all, though, this matchup with Minnesota is definitely an intriguing one because last week they played extremely well against the Las Vegas Raiders, and they've kind of been a little bit better as of recent, that Vikings defense. So I do think it can hinder some production that Jake Browning might have. All in all, though, I do think he is going to be the top quarterback play again, price point considered, like he was last week for us. So for now, I have him in the build, but I will say Nick Mullins at this cheap of a price tag, if Justin Jefferson is active, is going to be an interesting play. I do think we're going to get some stacking opportunities with Jefferson at a very cheap price tag. And also then you could easily go with TJ Hawkinson as well in a nice little stack. I think that that's going to be a route that we can go and probably should go on this slate. So moving on to running back, we know that JT is still out. To me, it seems like we are trying to choose between one of the Detroit Lions running backs. They get a great matchup going against the Denver Broncos, obviously, and really just depends on the game script. If you guys think that the Detroit Lions are going to be playing with the lead, then the back that you want to roll with is going to be David Montgomery. He's going to get most snaps then. If you think the game is going to be close or that the Lions are going to be playing from behind, then you want to play Jahmyr Gibbs. Okay, it's pretty much as simple as that. Now, you could probably game script your lineups out that way. I think we can get away with playing both of them, although I don't know if I want to because we are getting some pretty cheap running back plays. For now, I'm going to bet on Detroit winning and playing with the lead. Thus, I think it's going to be more of a David Montgomery game. Could be very hit or miss. I will say Joe Mixon is at an extremely cheap price tag for a guy that has been heavily involved the last 2 weeks. The 2 true weeks that we've had the Jake Browning experience. Over 20 opportunities, over 25 opportunities in both of those games. Has been able to score touchdowns. Now, again, I don't know if I love this matchup, and I hate the idea of double dipping with Jake Browning and Joe Mixon. Now, this did end up working out last week, and it can work out. And for what it's worth, guys, Chase Brown actually scored a touchdown as well, who was someone that was kind of gassing up. It was kind of weird how that worked. So I'm not going to say that touchdown could have easily went to Joe Mixon because I don't know if it would have. I don't know if Joe Mixon scores on it, to be honest, but it's nice to see that there was passing production to the running back position. And so maybe we can get away with it. From there, we are deciding between some situations because we got Javonte Williams, who has looked lights out. And I don't want to say it's a difficult matchup, but it's pretty clear you attack Detroit via the passing game. And so I do think there's a path where Javonte Williams does get some work in the passing game. Ty Chandler going to be taking over that starting role for the Minnesota Vikings. He, to me, could really get a heavy work share, at least 70% of the snaps. And if he does that in an okay matchup, but also at a very cheap price tag, that's certainly intriguing. But I also kind of like what we want to do with Detroit. I kind of feel like we want to do that with Pittsburgh because, guys, Indy was so easy to run on last week, and I think Pittsburgh will be able to run on them. So whether you want to go Jaylen Warren or Najee Harris, that's really up to you guys. It's going to be about a 50-50 split. I will say Jaylen Warren has a little bit more upside. I think I'd rather favor him, but to me, this does kind of seem like a 3 running back week as it sits right now. So part of the reason why I think it could be a 3 running back type week is mostly because I do think that this week is going to be kind of difficult to predict receiver wise. Starting out with Justin Jefferson, we don't know if he's going to be active or not. I will say if he is active, he's at a very cheap price tag, but then again, so is Jamar Chase. I think one of these two are kind of the clear-cut pay-up options. That being said, they're both coming in off of duds. Obviously, Jefferson coming in off of a game in which he got injured again, but I do think we can honestly see one of these games out of Jamar Chase, and I don't know if I want to miss out on that. Again, it feels weird going maybe too deep in on the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't know if I want to go with ASB. Again, if we're not playing Jared Goff, then it's tough to get to ASB, and I think both Justin Jefferson and also Jamar Chase are not only have more upside, but I think they would be more likely to have upside. From there, Michael Pittman Jr. has certainly been playing extremely well. This Pittsburgh defense, not bad, but if we're going to be getting a guy that's getting 10 targets, I absolutely love that. But at the same time, again, I would rather just go with Chase at 7.6 than I would go with Pittman at 7.3, if that makes sense. From there, I'm perfectly fine dipping down to really some of these value receiver plays that we are getting. Courtland Sutton has certainly looked good this season. The volume is just not there. And again, if you think Detroit's going to be playing with the lead, I feel like Sutton's a better place. Like, there's almost some sort of weird correlation. Like, if you're playing David Montgomery, then I actually don't mind Courtland Sutton as a play. I think that would go hand in hand. From there, T. Higgins. It does almost feel like we need to play one of T. Higgins or Tyler Boyd. And Tyler Boyd, as cheap price tag, does feel safe to get you some points. Now, it's weird. Like, I feel like the Bengals are all a little bit probably there's a Jake Browning distance. So my issue is that I kind of naturally keep ending up on Bengals, but we don't want to load up too much on the Bengals. I'll say that much. So it is that's what makes this like difficult. We have seen that if Justin Jefferson is out, Jordan Addison would be the receiver number one. To get the receiver number one at 5.6, a guy that, was a little bit fluky with his production, with, a lot of touchdowns and whatnot. But he has been a consistent fantasy producer, and the targets have been there. And I would say with Nick Mullins, the targets are going to be a little bit safer, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like his floor is going to be much safer. And so I really would like him as a play at that price tag. But really, I think we got to be looking at the Pittsburgh Steelers players like Deontay Johnson. Sure, he had a tough matchup last week, and he was able to kind of have a good week simply because he was able to score a touchdown. That offense looked terrible, don't get me wrong. But I think he's kind of the clear-cut play. Like, he should demand a high target share. He is simply too cheap. George Pickens, a lot of people might try to go to. I guess I'd be okay with that. Downs, I'm fine with. KJ Osborne, I'm kind of fine with all those guys. If Justin Jefferson is out, Powell becomes somewhat in play. But that's kind of it. I guess I should mention Humphrey did play a lot of snaps last week. I don't expect that to continue, but it is noteworthy. But yeah, that's kind of it at receiver, guys. Like, I'm perfectly fine leaving the last receiver spot open and then just filling in with whichever salary I have remaining. So moving on to tight end. Tight end is kind of more simple. Sam Laporta's in a good spot. He's expected to have a good game. But for me, I think I'd rather just go with TJ Hawkinson at a cheaper price tag. Just as safe. He's been the number one tight end thus far this season. And again, I do think that with Nick Mullins, the passing game is going to get slightly elevated. There's going to be more consistency there. Joshua Dobbs just much more of a playmaker. He gets stuff done with his legs. For Nick Mullins, it's going to be much more based off of the play design. And so I do really like getting at TJ Hawkinson. I feel like that's the correct play. I'm kind of worried about the snaps that Tanner Hudson has been getting, but he has been producing with limited snaps. Adam Troutman should be in for a lot of snaps again, maybe get some targets. And I say that because Kroll has been someone that has been playing some snaps, and I don't know if they're going to call him up again. And so if he doesn't, then I think we're just going to see Troutman again gain a lot of snaps. Now, do we want to force him in as a play? Probably not. For the Colts, definitely more hit or miss. And so to me, it's really, we probably have to be paying up for either Laporta or TJ Hawkinson. For now, I've been going with Hawkinson. Defensively, that's where it gets difficult. Hopefully the Broncos can get home, or hopefully the Vikings can get home. Vikings are going to blitz a lot. Maybe we'll see some turnovers. Obviously, if I have Jake Browning in at the quarterback, I'm probably just punting to the Broncos. And then we have 4.8 left over, kind of whichever. Downs, Judy, Pickens, I'm kind of fine with it. That's kind of just a slate though, guys. It's I don't want to say it's straightforward. We got to make some decisions here and there. Like, we don't need to go in on Joe Mixon that much. We could get to Jahmyr Gibbs if we want to instead. Like, there are some slight pivots, but all in all, we can really game script some good lines. That's going to be all for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to give a like and subscribe. I do appreciate that. Good luck. And as always, let's keep cashing.